everyone. My name is Steve Emerson, and I'm the Outbound Product Manager for ITOM Visibility here at ServiceNow. Today, I'm going to show you how you can automate certificate management workflows using the ServiceNow platform. Certificate management is a common challenge across every organization, regardless of industry. The biggest pitfalls in managing certificates are the lack of certificate inventory in a central place, no automated ability to renew certificates, and no 360-degree view of the certificate lifecycle. Now, inevitably, every organization will have a certificate expire. In fact, this occurs 4 times per year on average and can lead to outages, increased security risk, security breaches, significant fines, negative press, and loss of customer trust. With ServiceNow, you can prevent outages from expired certificates by gaining visibility into your entire certificate estate, including lifecycles. And this means no more managing a list of certificates and their expiration dates in spreadsheets. By proactively creating tasks for upcoming certificate expirations, which means no more setting calendar reminders to check the spreadsheet on a regular basis. And by automating certificate workflows, which is what I'm going to show you today. ServiceNow introduced our certificate inventory and management solution in March 2020, and customers have seen fast time to value in preventing outages from expired certificates, improving their security posture, gaining visibility into the entire certificate estate with lifecycles, and providing a standardized request experience. With the September 2021 release, customers can now automate certificate workflows, enabling you to increase efficiencies, reduce risk of human error, and ensure governance. First, we provide you with a single pane of glass to visualize certificate workflow automation, which enables customers to track value over time. Automated workflows begin by submitting requests in the service catalog for new, renew, and revoke requests. Next, a routing policy processes the request to the certificate authority with the option of having an approval before being processed. After that, workflow automation sends the request to the certificate authority for processing, at the same time creating a change request to ensure governance of the process. Once processed on the CA, certificates are stored in the SIEMDB and their status is updated. With the September release, we support DigiCert and have plans to add support for more CA partners in the future. Now let's get on to our demo. This is the new Certificate Task Automated Flow Dashboard tab on the Certificate Management Dashboard. And the purpose of this tab is to keep track of all of the automated requests. The top row shows you the new, renew, and revoke tasks that are currently open. Now here you see all zeros because the whole purpose of automation is to process the request as soon as possible so that you don't have outstanding requests sitting out there. You might see some minimal numbers here when you're waiting on an approval, for example. The next row for certificate task automation trends shows you how many, over time, how many request tasks you are automating. So as you start to use this more and more, you can start to see the value that you're really getting from this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the process for requesting the automated flows begins in the service catalog. Now, ServiceNow has added this new automated flow category under certificate management, as well as added these 3 new requests. I'll just add here that the revoke certificate catalog item is only available to those individuals with the PKI admin role, and we'll talk about that later. So let's say we wanted to go ahead and request a new certificate. We'll start the process by clicking on that, and we're presented with a form. Those of you who work in IT, to request a cert, you may have a Word document that you fill out or some other process to request a cert. This is a new standard process that you can follow. So the first thing we see here is that the purpose, external, for now it's only external, but we will support internal in the future. We'll paste in the CSR, or the certificate signing request, which is required for any new certificate request. We have a validity period here of max 365 days. That's configured in our routing policy, which I'll show you. You could set it to any number lower than 365, but you cannot set it over that. You have the ability to state which application services, or application servers this certificate will support. But I'm going to go ahead and choose a certificate owner group. This is the group that any tasks would be generated to if needed. And then I'm going to choose the certificate owner. This is the person that the certificate will be assigned to in the CMDB. And finally, we can choose our environment. I will leave it as development. So we go ahead and submit that request. And let's take a look at our routing policy, which is going to process that request. So as part of this process, you need to set up a routing policy. You give it a name, of course. You choose which certificate authority you are pointing to. As I mentioned with this release, it's initially DigiCert. It will be more in the future. We choose the certificate authority API URL that's going to process the requests that we submit. We choose the assignment group for overall tasks that might need to be created if there were no owner assigned or owner group assigned. We choose the max number of days that it's valid for. 365 is a best practice as a max in the industry right now. We can choose some other information such as subject common name and your general certificate information. Up here we see the purpose of external, which I mentioned earlier. Here we see whether or not we can allow to duplicate requests, or if we want an approval to occur every time a new request is submitted. And here is the group that would process that request. So any individuals that are part of that group would actually get the approval. So I am part of that group, and I have now gotten an approval request for that new certificate record that I just submitted. So I'm going to go ahead and approve this. And ServiceNow connects to the certificate authority every 30 minutes via a scheduled job and processes requests. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to speed that process up and just execute the job right now. And if we go back and look at our new certificate request task, we see that this is a work in progress, but it's already provided us with the order ID as well as the certificate ID from the certificate authority. If we go into the task itself, it has just completed. If we refresh the task, we can see that it has gone out to the CA, in this case DigiCert. It has processed the request for the new certificate. It has attached those certificates to this request task, and it's created a record in the CMDB for that certificate. If we preview the record, we can see the valid from, the valid to, as well as the state of being issued. As a next step, you might want to run a discovery against that, your environment. Once the certificate is discovered via the port probe, which is part of our overall certificate management solution, the state would then change to installed. But I mentioned earlier about ensuring governance. If I refresh this one more time, we can see that a normal change request has been created and related to this form. So that is the process for requesting a new certificate. I'm going to go ahead now and renew that same certificate that I just requested. So I'll go back to our service catalog, I'll click renew. And we're going to automate now the renewal of a certificate. First, I'm going to choose which certificate I want to renew. So I'll choose the same one I just asked for. On the right-hand side, it fills in information of the certificate. It's reading from that cert. The purpose is external, right? Here, the signing request, we have to paste that in. The reason why that field is not mandatory is that some of our other CA partners that we're working with do not require a CSR. DigiCert does require it, so I've pasted it in there. We choose our validity period for 365. We choose our cert owner group of certificate administrators, as well as the owner of Steve Emerson. We go ahead and submit that request, and approval has been requested. And if we look at our approvals, we can see that here I have a request. So I'll go ahead and click that. I'll process the approval. Now, sometimes it does require choosing of the routing policy. This would be on some cases where you have multiple routing policies where it couldn't determine the match. So just to be sure, it might create the option to choose one. or if the certificate name is different, in which case this is the case here, the name of the CSR is different than what we are requesting. So I'll go ahead and update that. And now we processed the approval. I'll go ahead and run the job now to connect ServiceNow to the DigiCert CA. And we'll look at our tasks for certificate renewals. Here we see it's a work in progress. Here's the order ID, here's the certificate ID. We'll go into the task. And here is the message I told you about earlier about how we connect to it every 30 minutes. Now what it's doing is it's processing that request and it's just completed. So if I go ahead and refresh this form, I will see that the renewed certificate is now attached to this record from the CA, as well as the certificate is added to the CMDB. And we have our change request, another normal change request. Now the final thing we want to do here is we want to revoke that certificate. As a PKI admin, you may need to revoke a certificate because it's no longer needed, or maybe you have a certificate that could potentially become a security risk. So the PKI admin would only see this catalog item to be able to select. They'll go ahead and choose the issued certificate that they want to revoke, and they'll put in a reason, no longer needed, and they'll click submit. A confirmation box pops up. Are you sure you want to do this? That is because it does not require an approval. Once ServiceNow connects to the CA and processes the request, the revocation happens almost immediately, and then it's no longer valid. I'll go ahead and execute the job one more time, and we will go ahead and now look at that revoke request. We see that it is a work in progress. So let's open up that task. It says state completed now. Let's reload the form. And here we see that the certificate itself, if we click on that certificate, we see the status is now revoked. Inside of the CA, of course, it is also revoked. And we've gone ahead and created an emergency change request to ensure governance to make sure that that was indeed warranted. So that brings me to the end of the demo. And to support your organization's goal of preventing outages from expired certificates, I just showed you how automated certificate workflows will enable you to increase efficiencies, reduce the risk of human error, and ensure governance. Now, I hope that you have enjoyed this demo. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. And of course, if you would like to learn more about this capability, please reach out to your ServiceNow account team. Thanks for watching and have a great day.